Welcome to another day in the Matrix, Red Pill episode number 12. I don't know if this sounds different, but I did buy a microphone and it seems to be very clear comparatively to what I was using. Hopefully the levels are good on this, so if you guys think that this could be a little bit louder or have any feedback, I'd greatly appreciate that. Anyways, I'm starting this video a little bit later today because the market was a little bit turbulent earlier in the day, and I thought that it would be a little bit skewed based on the bearishness of the market. And I also assumed very early in the day that leading up towards the CME Open, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, being reopened, that it would cause some buying pressure near the end of the day. Again, today is actually a pretty special day because it is the weekly close, but it is also the bi-weekly close, and we're going to be transitioning into the summer solstice. I've let you guys know about this a couple weeks ago, actually, sort of what to anticipate around this time of year because of the full moon, which typically brings us bearish energy, and also some of the other things going on with the Gematria, like we've done in a couple previous decodes leading up into this day. So just wanted to give you guys some updates on what will be going on coming up into the month of July. I will be doing the 4 Gematria decodes on the 4 different crypto projects that you guys vote on. I have actually finished up the poll results for the final vote, meaning that the vote isn't started yet, but I do have the top 10 projects that I'll be adding to the poll. So that'll be cool to be able to see how you guys respond to that. It seems that HBAR, Digibyte, and one other one was really popular. I'm trying to remember the name of it. VeChain, yeah. So those 3 in particular are probably going to be in the winner in the final 4, but it'll be cool to see how you guys do that. And it's also cool that Patreon allows me to do polls. So something else that's pretty cool. We'll see how that goes. And I do kind of want to keep the month of July dedicated to Gematria because, again, I've said ever since we dumped that I was anticipating sort of a sideways boring market. And I think that it's imperative that we kind of just relax at this time. It gets really bloody, and then once it gets bloody, the prices get bought right back, and this keeps teeter-tottering left to right, bullish, bearish, over and over again. And gotta admit, I haven't really been looking at the charts too much lately. I've been trying to enjoy myself. I've been trying to work on developing myself more. I've even been exercising more. I've been trying to live a normal life just because this market has been so bearish. I'm not going to let it change me. And I hope that last week's Red Pill episode gave you guys a little bit of insights into my personal experience and what I've been through in my journey. And I do kind of want to zoom out of where this chart is right here. This would be the COVID crash right here, this moment. And you could see this V-shaped recovery was really promising. We basically got back to levels that we were previously at within a very short order. And we had this little crown distributional top, and then we had this what could be considered a short-term reaccumulation after decline. Now, when we're using Wyckoff, I try telling people to understand that you always want to measure the amount of time of the distribution for the predicted, I guess you could say, amount of accumulation. So if you look right here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 candles of 2-week candles, followed by 1, 2, 3 candles before creating a new high in the structure. Of course, back then, everything was really boring and sideways and sort of oversold and pretty much undervalued, especially a lot of these altcoins. So it makes sense that you saw a bit of the buying pressure come in earlier. But with that being said, you essentially have a similar amount of time of a distributional top followed by a reaccumulation. Now, it's kind of hard to say what would be the perfect place to start this, but I do think that right here would be it, because if you see me remove my cursor and then slowly move it up. Where it moves up is the median average amount of prices, and that just puts us around 60,000. So the amount of time we were in this $60,000 range was give or take around 80 days. Now, if we were to go from the dump and push it over 80 days, you're seeing that about the beginning of August is when we should start to see a bit of a recovery. Now, if we were to measure that out starting from here into the beginning of August, you're looking about another 40 days on top of today. A lot could happen between now and then, and I do believe that people will get shaken out of this market, albeit they will get scared out of this market or bored out of this market. And this is something that I've been saying again to look out for. And it's actually quite necessary. And some people might not want to hear that, but it's just because you're too bullish. And when people are too bullish and too euphoric, they tend to let that emotion prevail. And I don't like being that way. I actually was very adamant about potential corrections when we were seeing multiple weekly closures in this 60K rejection area. And I also was saying in the beginning of creating my course, all the way before Bitcoin even broke out to its new all-time highs, when I started the course around this time right here, the beginning of October, I said to everyone, I anticipate a Bitcoin price between 60 to 70K before a big rejection. Any of you that are part of my course that have actually thoroughly watched it from beginning to end, or at least watched the first half of the videos in it, you know that this is true. So it was something I was anticipating. It's impossible to know the timing. I did mention to a lot of people that I was anticipating something in the beginning of June. I could have called it really anything. I've thought about alien invasions. Of course, a fake staged alien invasion. I've thought about shit regarding the COVID shot, the vaccine. I've thought about pretty much anything as a possibility. And the reason why I think that way is because I just watched humanity give in to a virus, which is fake. All viruses aren't alive, and humanity got spellcasted into believing the biggest hoax of all time. Now, when this is the type of thing you're working with the regular people, let's just call them, the profane, as some of them are called, the layman. They have this inability to go do their own research after they're told how to think. So it's just pretty plain and simple to me that they could pretty much re-shut down this whole world at the drop of a hat. And I wouldn't even be surprised anymore. Now, I'm really not being sarcastic. I'm not trying to seem like I'm better than anyone. I don't want us to feel like we are better than anyone. That's not what I'm trying to get at here. What I'm trying to get at here is when we are a more conscious community, we are surrounded by these people. We're surrounded by this problem, this parasite, and it will do its best to burrow its way into your consciousness and into your family and into your morals and into your perspectives, your truths. And I really try my best to have like a built-in antivirus software for the fake virus. No, but I mean when it comes to this parasitic nature of the New World Order or whatever you want to call it, they don't do anything to you by force. They simply manipulate perception. They manipulate it in a way that gives in, and where people give in and they basically put on the handcuffs for them. They will walk themselves into the FEMA camps and then take selfies in front of the FEMA camp and then post it onto Instagram and then hand it over to the military officer. And then you see where I'm going with this? This is what we're working with. So anyways, let's make this family friendly and fun for the rest of our day. I am done speaking about that. So, of course, July will be more dedicated to decodes and Gematria. I will also be transitioning all the information that I do for those 4 decodes into a Gematria masterclass. That masterclass will be 100% available to anyone who's part of the Mastermind community over on Patreon. Essentially, what I'll do is I'll take those 4 Gematria decodes and then I will make another video, kind of like a Gematria cheat sheet for cryptocurrency, where I'll teach everyone just the basics of how I find out this information as fast as I can and as effective as possible, and how to utilize it. My Mastermind course was more for getting people to learn investment thesis, how to design portfolios, how to learn how to do technical analysis, and then how to utilize Gematria as like the icing on the cake. And that is still my focus, even though I believe that Gematria does run most of the show, everything from sports to the days that important people die. I don't think that it is necessarily the most important thing when it comes to the way that we perceive this market in the day-to-day or the week-to-week. We can use it as this way of sort of cracking the code and giving ourselves an understanding of why the market moves up or down. But that's where the technical analysis comes into play. It gives us an idea of when and what direction things are going to happen, and what are the reasons behind those directions in regards to what we're seeing in the charts. Of course, after you have something like this, where you have so many green bi-weekly candles and just keep raging to the upside, and then you have so many weekly closures in this straight line where it's like ironclad, there's no way it's getting past that, of course there should be a pullback, especially when we haven't backtested any of those important key moving averages that we've talked about so many times on this channel. So now I did want to bring up a couple of things that I'm going to be talking about in this video. I'm going to be, of course, doing the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP charts. Going to be getting a little bit into Tether because a lot of people keep asking me about Tether. I'm going to try not to rant about it too much, but I will be letting you know some of my thoughts. Perhaps I could make like a full-blown Tether video for YouTube coming up sometime. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. And then the coins that we're going to be jumping into, hopefully, if we have time, are Reserve Rights, Harmony One, AMP, Icon, Monero, and then we're going to do a little bit of a recap on Theta from previous episodes, just because we're moving into Theta 3.0 mainnet, and I'm pretty interested into seeing how that price action leads into that. So we'll go ahead and grab your favorite beverage of choice, glass of wine if it's late for you, or a beer, or a cup of coffee if it's early in the morning. Grab yourself a bowl of cherries or something and watch this video. That's actually what I did before I made this video. I ate a bunch of fresh cherries from the good old state of California, where it allegedly has reopened, according to the sources that I have. It's great to hear. It's great to hear that the masks are coming off for the most part, and now the only people who wear masks are the same people that were probably going to continue to wear masks regardless. Those are my favorite people. So let's get into this Bitcoin monthly chart. I think that this is a good place to start. We're going to scan this whole entire chart in logarithmic. Again, we have log scale and then we have linear. I like using the log for these longer term time frames. I feel like they're a little more helpful for us to get a little more of an understanding of what's going on in the big picture. And the one thing that we're going to immediately talk about is this upcoming monthly close, which is looking incredibly bearish. So I'm going to change this from the 8 SMA, simple moving average, over to the 9 just for this video and for this time frame. Excuse me. So for the monthly, I like the 9 as our shortest term moving average. The 8 is okay. 8 would be better if we could close above that, but this isn't me moving my, this isn't me trying to move the post back or whatever people say. The 9 is way more popular, actually. I'm the weirdo who uses the 8 because I like that 8 and 55 simple cross, which I always talk about with you guys. This 8 being the yellow, the white being the 55, and seeing them cross in either direction is a sign of a continuation. You guys have heard me talk about that plenty of times. It's something I teach about in my course. But on this monthly time frame, I'm going to leave it at the 8. I'm going to grab some water real quick. Okay. You guys should see my setup now. It's so professional. I have this brand new microphone, which is the Blue Yeti X. It's a little bit of the upgraded version of this blue microphone. I got myself a little whiteboard going on. I'm looking to get one of those whiteboards that's made of glass. Those are really beautiful, but I don't have much space in where I'm living at temporarily. I will be planning to move, hopefully after the fall time. Be looking for a new apartment, hopefully sometime near the end of the summer. I'm excited for that. Have a real office, a real studio, and maybe we'll see. I might get on camera if that's the case, but I wouldn't get my hopes up. So what we're looking at right now is the monthly chart on Bitcoin, and we have our 9 simple moving average that we've selected, and you can see we're kind of towing the line. If you ever want to just jump to whatever this moving average is without having to move your cursor, you keep your cursor to the right of the price action and then look over here. And you could see it's essentially at $36,700. So we have about 10 more days left, and I would love to see this closure above 36,700. Now, there's almost not one time during a bull run where we are closing below that, and then we continue to move to newer highs. So I'll just go back to the what we could call the Bitcoin genesis, the start. And of course, this is very new price action. This is when Bitcoin went from, honestly, it was sub penny. It was less than 1 penny when it was being mined, obviously, and when it was first hitting exchanges. But this is like the original OG trading price when it was a couple of pennies. Now, Bitcoin went from less than a penny to $34 in a year. I'm still breathtaken by that piece of information. Like, that still blows my mind. The fact that this thing went from penny, like, we talk about having some of these crypto currencies that are within 5 cents go to $1, and like how massive that is, and then seeing it go to $3, and then seeing it go to 5, like, whoa, holy shit, that's crazy. But then this is something that Bitcoin did in the first year, and it superseded all of it. Like, whenever we think about my bullish price targets for XRP, which I believe will be about $7.60, and then of course it could approach something like $14, that's like still half of what that's still half of what Bitcoin did, starting at a lower price in less amount of time. Like, that's face melting. Of course, this isn't to compare. Like, I hate this idea of the comparison of one coin being better than the other, but I think that there's a lack of respect for Bitcoin. And it's because people don't look at this long-term chart. They don't look at it from the genesis. And I think that that's something that humbled me a lot when I first got into this. Because when I got into it, I didn't even know how to find this chart. Seriously. I couldn't even find a chart with price action before really this 2011 timeframe. So this first run-up is something that you could find on the index chart. The index chart is nice. It's different from the BLX chart, the Brave New Coin Liquid Index. I like the index chart better because it has a live price action. So it's all the data from the BLX, but including the live price action and the shorter time frames. So that's really cool. I mean, I don't know how far back you could go, like to the 1 hour. Like, you're probably limited on how far you can go to the 1 hour in terms of previous bull markets, but it's pretty insane to be able to look at. So anywho, back to this exponential. And of course, I'm just going to, throw in little things here and there because that's what this whole podcast is about. It's about us seeing into all of these little extra things that are hard to fit into tutorial videos or hard to fit into YouTube videos because there's not enough time. But with these, we can really get into the nitty gritty. And we see 2 signatures that are really important. One with this 55, this white line. You see that the end of the bull run into 2015. Notice that the bull run ended in January 2015. Of course, it had the blow off in that December timeframe. Then look at here, we have the blow off in that December timeframe, and then we're coming down to the bottom around January 2019 when it hits this white line. And that's been my thesis all along. I believe we're going to hit up into the December of 2021 high, somewhere around like 140,000, and then we're going to pull back into December around a year later, December, January. And you'll see where this white line will be settled will be much higher. We'll just have to see though, because this moving average will take some time. It'll zigzag curve up. Right now it's sort of flat like it was back here, but it will kind of jag up and curve, and it'll probably get you somewhere around the high 30,000s into the 40,000s. And depending on how bullish this all gets for how long, we'll just have to wait and see. But that's one thing that I've spoken about in the very beginning of my course. I was discussing in the beginning of my course around October of 2020 that I do anticipate a much lower than what normal analysts are predicting for Bitcoin. That's first and foremost. I never really wanted to consider plus $200,000 Bitcoin. I know it's possible because anything's possible in the matrix. That could be an argument for some people as to why the hell should I invest in Bitcoin if it's only going to go to 140,000? Okay, well, when you're ready to pull out your investments, you're going to want to know why, but that's besides the case. There's a lot of things going into play here. First of all, no one should have really been not investing into Bitcoin when it was around 7 to 10,000. If you're just learning about all of this now, it's because you're getting in when the masses all got in. So of course there's going to be rug pulls. Of course there's going to be little tricks up the New World Order sleeve. Now, you always want to buy when it's boring or bloody. And we're in a position that's very reminiscent of back here in April 2013 into June 2013. If you were to zoom in and see what's going on here, you see, let me move this moving average. I know I'm like kind of jumping around a lot, but I think this stuff is important. So you see this was the high in April. This was our high in April. Then we had a red that was kind of an indecision candle as the high. And then we have this big red, so that would be the big red right here in May. And then we're followed up by this weird hammer candle in July. And that hammer candle was a reversal candle. And I don't know if that's how we're going to play this out because we're in June after all. But I am having a feeling now that we were so freaking bearish this whole month as well. Like the fact that we just hit 40,000, 41,000, then got rejected, and we've been on 6 straight red candle closes, that's telling me that like they're really draining this market. They're really scaring people out. And I am now anticipating, like I said in my XRP prediction video that I did for YouTube, I do think there's going to be a relief rally into the beginning of the beginning of July, all the way up until the new moon. Like I think the whole first half of July is going to be, it's going to feel good. It's going to feel like the pressure has been taken off of us, but we're not out of the cards just yet. Like we're not out of the woods. Sorry. We're not out of the woods just yet. I do believe that that full moon in July is going to give us another interim bottom, perhaps 32,000, maybe even something scary like a dip down to 29. We don't know. And I will talk about that in a moment. This idea of using the moon cycles indicator and just clearing it up, because I have gotten a lot of people that have been confused by it. So let's get back to our 9 simple moving average. And we're seeing something here that's really important, which is basically that we have a blow off right here into this bull run. Then we come back and back test the 9. Then we ride up it, have a blow off top, come back. And then the first candle we closed below it right here. You can see we have the candle body close slightly below it, followed by a doji, a fake breakout, a false breakout into this 9 simple, and then a rejection to the downside. Let's go to this bull run. So we have the blow off, then we have this 1 candle body closure below the monthly 9 simple moving average. Then we have a false breakout, and then we basically get rejected off of the 9, and then we come back down into our bear market bottom. So we have broken above it. We've been staying above it all the way until now, and we're towing the line. We're literally right there. We're like at It's like fourth down and it's like inches to go. And the running back is like sweating. He's like, "Oh shit, do I really have to run this up the middle?" That linebacker's looking like he wants to kill me. And the coach is like, "What? Don't just do it." So is he going to break through and score the touchdown, or is he going to fucking fumble and lose the game for us? So this is kind of like me just throwing this indicator out here. Now I'm going to barrage everyone with a bunch of bearish indicators. I'm just going to give you bearish, 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 all this bearish stuff. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back on it with a little bit of a rant. And that's just to clarify where my position is in all of this. Because again, I'm a technical analyst, but I'm a conscious individual. I'm enlightened, and I'm looking at this all from a much bigger picture than the average analyst would be. So let's just get through all of this dumpy, bearish price action that we need to talk about, and then we'll move on to some of my thoughts. Okay, so this is clearly a bad sign. We need to get that closure above the 9. Let me change it back to the 8 because that's what I like to work with personally. You can see my setup right here. I have this SMA 950 180, EMA 20 buy sell. I turn off the buy sell because I don't use them, but I do like this setup where the 855 and then the 200s. So the 200 simple and the 200 the 200 exponential. You can see how it jumped up, and now this is like, it would be so beautiful to get a closure above this 8 simple. Okay, this would make me happier, much happier. Okay, because it's been what we've been doing so far in this bull run. It's what we did last month, and we just got it by a hair. So it'd be really nice to see that $40,000 basically just close at 40,000. That'd be amazing. Now we got 10 days left, and that's quite. That could be perceived as quite a move, but let's just move it to 41, just to be like overly, 14% over the next 10 days. That's nothing for Bitcoin. That's a sneeze. We saw Bitcoin last week put in a 10% candle in a single day. So it's possible. Once options expiry and all that shit gets out of the way, this could definitely reverse. I'm not saying it will. I'm not trying to be bull boy, but again, like, just bear with me here. This is possible. Now, let's go to the 2 week. It's one of those things that fewer people talk about in the technical analyst community, or whatever you want to call them. But I like the bi-weekly. I think it's a very powerful closure. We're getting a downward slope on this 8 EMA. That's a bad thing, but it's okay. We can get a downward slope like we were seeing back here during the COVID crash, and we could still reverse out of it pretty nicely. What I'm interested in the bi-weekly is this MACD cross. Okay, it's definitely crossed, and now we're about to close our bi-weekly again, and we're closing it again with a doji. Basically, if we keep this price action right now for the next hour and 20 minutes, we're gonna have a doji. And dojis are indecision candles. They don't necessarily facilitate a dump even if they're slightly red, and they don't facilitate a pump if they are slightly green. That's sort of just voodoo charting that people do. It's just hammers and doji candles tend to be sort of like a fake out in one direction, pull back to another, and we sort of wait till we see a high in the range or a low in the range. And in this case, we're looking at anything below 31,000 and anywhere as high as 41,500. And I've told you guys about this 42,000 level before we even, probably before June even started. So at the very beginning of this pullback, I was mentioning, breaking 42 is going to be really difficult, okay? It's going to be hard. Once it breaks, though, it could rally. And where it rallies is just sort of something we have to look out for. But you see this bi-weekly closure here where we had been holding the bi-weekly 8 simple moving average as a perfect support all the way since basically the COVID recovery. So here we have the COVID crash. We rode on top of it literally for, it's so long, it's insane, a whole year, 364 days. We rode above it. Then we just had this massive liquidity event, and now we're below it, and we haven't even back tested it. So this is where I would naturally look actually for the next big resistance after the after getting above 42K. I would be looking at wherever this 8 EMA or 8 SMA. Sorry, I'm getting confused because there's so many things to talk about here. But essentially, I'd be looking for the 8 simple moving average on the biweekly. Some of you might not have pro trading views, so I'm sorry you won't have access to any of what I'm talking about right now. But you'll hear me say it in my videos. I'll keep you updated, of course. Now, this could literally come as early as the next closure for July 5th, where we move up into it. And of course, as we're below it, this is going to continue sloping to the downside. So it could slope down to like this 46 area. And if we push bullish into it, it'll slightly move back to the 47, 48. So I would not be surprised if we hit 48,000 in the first week of July. That would be totally in the cards. Now, this is where I would get worried. Rejecting off this level would most likely mean it's a confirmed downtrend. So it's going to push us right back to the bottom side of the range. And you guys have heard me say that with this idea of a bull trap. A bull trap moving into these 45,000 plus targets, it gets bloody after that, and you want it to hold the range. So that's still in the cards, and that's something that's going to make all altcoins extremely weak. So at this time, I'm sort of just holding off of investing. I'm holding off from adding to positions because these altcoins are really poorly performing, and it's because of this, all of what's going on right now that I'm explaining. So another thing that we could look for is the weekly chart RSI. Weekly chart RSI is sitting below 40. It's sitting below 50, and that's all that matters to me. And of course, if you wanted to see the RSI number without having to drag your cursor, you just pull down this arrow right here. You could see when I pull it down, a number shows up down here. And if I go past the price target, it goes 45. And we want that to be above 50. So we're not. We're below 50. That's bearish. Now let's look on the 2-day MACD. We got it to cross bullish a couple days back, but now it looks like we're getting pressure again, and I would be worried if that crosses bearish again. But I could see that this light green 200, it's an exponential moving average. The 200 exponential is looking pretty solid on the 2-day, and that's coming in at about 32,300. So we close a 2-day candle on the 21st, which is tomorrow, and this would keep to slope it up as long as we're trending above the price. And these aren't downward sloping yet. So the fact that these 200s on the 2-day are not downward sloping, that means that we're kind of okay, but this is still sketchy. The fact that this MACD is sort of in limbo territory. Now let's go to the daily. And this MACD is about to cross bearish probably. Got the downward slope, and it's pinching. And as they pinch, if the price stays on the downwards trajectory, we're gonna see a bearish cross on the MACD. Not good. It's like every fucking time we start getting in the right direction, they pull it back on us. And I'm not saying that out of frustration. I'm just, as an analyst, you're like, wow, they could really, really suck this market dry, like way more than the stock market would ever get sucked dry. There's seemingly this volatility that has maintained in the cryptocurrency space, and it seems to not want to go anywhere. This idea of losing the volatility, it's even prevalent in Bitcoin. Whenever there's a bullish thing that comes up, it's bullish for a very short amount of time. But when it's bearish for a long amount of time. And that's something that happens in a bear market. So, sorry, but that's just the truth. Anyone who's studied previous cycles, you know that when you're very bullish, you could have the worst news on earth come out and it won't do shit to the price. When you're bearish, anything just knocks the price right back down. So there was some speculation that this move up from this solar eclipse time into this rejection here on the 200 exponential moving average, that was a sign of like something about El Salvador accepting Bitcoin as a currency, and like, no, that's bullshit. Come on. El Salvador has like less people in it than the state of Texas. Like, it's unimportant. If like 10 Caribbean countries started accepting Bitcoin, which they all of them already do, by the way, it's called the black market. But anyways, if they all just started accepting Bitcoin, it's not going to change the price. You need like Germany to start utilizing Bitcoin at a scale that would be like civilian level. That's like pretty much the perfect word. Like you would need it on like the societal civilian level. You would need normal people just being forced into Bitcoin in order to see that particular thing cause a price action response. Okay? So I'm just letting people know that that's, again, it's just theater. It's theater to make people feel like it's doing one thing because of the other thing. Because in this last 6 days, has El Salvador stopped using Bitcoin? Have they decided to ban it? No. So why the fuck is the price coming right back down to where it was before they released that news? You see? It's just nonsense. It's theater. And I don't pay attention to it. That's why on my channel, you never really hear me ever talk about any of that kind of stuff. Because I don't have time to give you guys that. It's the blue pill. All news is the blue pill. The SEC, blue pill. Gary Gensler, blue pill. What Brad Garlinghouse is doing, blue pill. All garbage. Doesn't matter. What Charles Hoskinson's last interview was, garbage. None of that shit matters because it's all scripted. The New World Order only lets their cover boys say a certain amount of information, and whenever they speak out of turn, they show up dead somewhere floating in a river, and you're like, what the hell happened? Or they died from a suicide. It's like, okay, sure they did. That's how you know that these guys are telling you the truth and trying to help out, when they go missing. Until then, if they're able to just sit in their house and make podcasts all day, they're speaking the agenda. And the agenda is about enslaving humanity on blockchain technology. If that doesn't vibe with you, I'm sorry, but you need to study Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. It's part of the plan. We just have to be on the right side of the plan. And I believe that's what we're doing in this bull run. This bull run will most likely be the last normal bull run to be able to maximize profit potential, because I do not think this next bull run in 2024 is going to be the bull run that everyone wants. I don't think it's going to be all about the altcoins. It's going to be more about CBDCs. That's when inflation is really going to show up, and no one will ever hedge their inflation with altcoins. Period. The end of story. The only one that might make it in that regard would be Ethereum. But Bitcoin's going to become a monster then. It's going to start to break all of its trends. Of course, these other altcoins will do well. I'm not saying they won't do well, but what they will be going through is essentially an exodus. There will be maybe 90% of all these altcoins we know today will be gone as a transition of that, and that would cause massive havoc. And a lot of that liquidity needs to go somewhere. Where do you think it's going to go? You think it's going to go back into another random altcoin? Nope. It's going to go into Ethereum, Bitcoin, and that's probably it. That's not my opinion, by the way. That's just what the smartest money on earth is doing today, and I do not see them changing their pace at all. I bet you all the money in the world that all the shit that Grayscale's buying that's not Bitcoin or Ethereum, they're just riding up those altcoins prices so that when this bull runs over, they're going to profit out into Bitcoin to grow their Bitcoin stacks so they could become bigger Bitcoin whales. Because all the other stuff, it's really just about price action. They're just going with the flow of manipulation so that they could create a new monetary layer for their balance sheet. That's what they're interested in. They're interested in getting themselves ahead of a really bloody devalued dollar, which at this current time is not happening. The dollar is doing very well recently, and I do have something to say about that later on. So let's quickly talk about the moon phases indicator, because I feel like that is very important for everyone because we've had some confusion lately. All right, zoom out when in doubt. Now, you could see right here, we had our top 41,000 within 4 days, 4 to 5 days of that new moon. Now, right back here in February, we actually had our top within 10 days of the new moon. And look what happened. Boom. Right after we had that move, it was a quick drawdown, about 30%. So we hit this late, and then we basically immediately reacted with the drawdown. Now, this is something I was telling you guys I was anticipating happening. I said expect around like this current time right here, because we have the next full moon. We have the 174th day of the year on the next full moon, which is for New World Order. I went over that in my last decode. We have a lot of shit happening around this time, and it's very important that we look into those things in the 24th week of the year, moving into the 25th week of the year. Now we're about to move into the 25th week tomorrow, so perhaps this was the bottom, and that would actually make sense because of how much we've been getting toasted lately, and we've seen a 20% pullback from this recent high. We're so bearish, and we still got a 20% pullback after a very short run to the upside. But we still got this top within a very short amount of time of our new moon. So this indicator is amazing, okay? But please have patience, everyone. It's not ever going to be perfect. Like, there was instances like right here where it was perfect. But there was this moment where it wasn't, where it was a little bit early. Look at that, 5 days early. It's okay. Have patience. Just chill. Just know that it could move into that energy once it transitions. So we transitioned out of the new moon, and what happened? What always happens? See right here? The price turns red into this red box. We move down. You see right here? Price moves red into the full moon. Red into the full moon. Red into the full moon. Same thing over and over again. So now when's our full moon? It's going to be right here on this day. We're like literally 3 trading days away. So all we're doing is what we always do. And now it's about patience. Okay? What if we come all the way down to like 32 again on the full moon, and then the day after, maybe 2 days after, we still continue to hold like this 32 range? That would just be what happens all the time. That's normal. Now, what's probably going to happen is something similar to back here, where we pulled down and then had a double bottom, and not like an official double bottom. At the time, this was considered a double bottom because we went from 42K down to 29, up, down to 29 again, and then we blasted off, and that was legendary to see Bitcoin go from 29,000 to 58,000 in 25 days. Okay, this is kind of what I would anticipate to happen now. Maybe we return back to a wick bottom. Let's see how many days were between this, by the way. 5 days. 5 days is June 25th. So probably we come back to 33,300, 333. And we looked at a lot of charts today, and they were all giving us 333. It's obvious manipulation before the summer solstice, the quote-unquote longest day of the year in my hemisphere. Wow, when I look away from my computer, everything looks like green and red lines. That's really trippy. That's amazing how like those optical illusions work. So I do want to talk about leverage, but I also want to quickly go over one other thing, which is what I see going on perhaps in the short term, and it's something like this. So let's just say we double bottom into the full moon, then we come up, break out of the firmament, which is this arc, into the new moon. Now, as high as we go, I don't know. We could rally all the way into this 0.5 fib. Remember, anything after the 0.5 going into the 618 is considered a classic bull trap, and I would anticipate we get rejected like that into the new moon. Now, I would love if this held the 236. You guys hear me talk about the 236 fib quite often. And then we hold that level and basically bottom out from there into September and start to create somewhat of like a weird cup and handle formation. Now, this would be perfect because it would be giving us our reaccumulation after decline schematic. I'm going to make a full-blown video for Patreon soon discussing what I just showed you right here, but essentially it's me using the moon cycle as a indicator to predetermine price action before it comes. This would be pretty textbook though. Double bottom into the full moon, break out of this firmament structure, retest the 236 sometime around early July, then move up into the new moon of July 9th. Again, we could be plus 3 or 4 days after. So we can move all the way until the 14th of July. Then basically immediately start running back down. Then that would be great to see the new bottom around this full moon be around the 236, because I've told you guys that it's every 58 days from pullbacks we see a new bottoming structure. So it'd be something like this coming into around this time frame. Whatever is the bottom around this next full moon is going to probably be the bottom. It's going to tell us where the actual bottom is for this bearish trend that we're actively in. So I'll save it there for Bitcoin because I've spoken about quite a lot of things, but stuff's important. Let's move into Ethereum really quickly because it's a similar story, but actually a little more bullish than Bitcoin. It seems like ever since Ethereum has broken out into the new year, it's been more bullish. This blow off top structure I don't like though, because people were talking about that Bitcoin chart as a head and shoulders, but in my opinion, it's not. This is what a head looks like in a head and shoulders pattern in a more macro perspective. So let me show you what the Bitcoin chart looks like. This is not a head. This is a huge crown area. It's like has 4 heads. Some like freaking medieval creature. But anyways, this is what a classic head looks like on a when you're doing technical analysis, and that's not good. This is a classic right shoulder. I don't see any right shoulder back here. So this chart just kind of looks like shit. But that's what you get with altcoins when there's a big sell-off. You just get a really shitty looking chart, and you have to do really good analysis in order to navigate it. What I am seeing though is the fact that we got that rejection at the 4.236. Again, I teach you guys this in my course. The 4.236 is so important when you're using fibs because it's typically the first bullish level you get to after breaking the 1618. And you can see right here, we rallied through the golden pocket, closed outside of the golden pocket, went straight to the 1618, got rejected. It's very normal. Back test your highs, W breakout into the 4236. That is the most textbook play that exists in cryptocurrency. So if anyone was studying my course, I mean, you were golden because that's the stuff I teach. This pullback was very bloody. We came all the way down to as low as 1750 on the 23rd. This is the big liquidity day that I've spoken about where I use that to measure 58 days out. Because across the board of all coins, that was like the most money that left the space. And you could see it's around July 20th. That's when I expect the next bottom. Okay. All altcoins kind of look the same right now. There are some exceptions. So I hope the ones that I look at today are slightly different. If they are looking similar, then I'm just going to breeze through them because, of course, like there's no point of just beating a dead horse over and over again. But anyways, essentially what's going on here, if I was to go to like a weekly chart, I'm going to close. Wow, that was a sick run. Holy shit. Look at this chart. Look at this W breakout on the macro, on the weekly. We got out of it right here. We back tested the neckline around September and then just straight line breakout. That's textbook. God, I wish I went heavier in Ethereum. It's such a incredible move that it did from fucking under $100 to 4,000. Wow. For the second biggest altcoin. It's massive. So if I zoom in, you can kind of see what's going on here. Basically, we're back testing the previous levels of February and March. That's bullish. That's kind of what you want. You want to back test levels like that. And that's why I'm saying it looks better than Bitcoin by a long shot. It's much more beaten from the top than Bitcoin is, as far as I remember. But it might not, and actually it might not be. It might have recovered comparatively. It seems like big money is moving into ETH, guys. Like, it's like what I said earlier. Like when they move out of these altcoins, these lower cap altcoins, I know people are scared to put their money in ETH and Bitcoin because the quote unquote prices are high, but that's not a rich mindset. That's a thing of the poor mindset to look at everything that way. To only invest in things because they're a penny per coin is not investing. That's ridiculous. That's like playing with penny stocks, okay? You're doing it because you want volatility, but you probably don't have the skills to play that volatility. So I'm not saying that to like throw a wrench in your investment thesis, but I'm saying that because you're probably inexperienced. And by having a portfolio that's heavier in this stuff, these like, I'll just make an example, right? Reserve rights is one of the ones we're going over. That would be a scenario. A lot of these more popular coins that have just sort of like blew up out of nowhere in these sub 10 cent regions. Harmony One, I remember being one of them that we've discussed that we're going to be going over today. This stuff does have massive upside, but you also need to be protected. You can't have like 25% of your portfolio in this stuff. Unless you got in really early and you took profits along the way, but it's not something that I would have a major position in personally. Okay. So let's move on to the 2-day. We're definitely seeing problems here when I was doing analysis early, and that is this cross. So you guys heard me talking about the cross of this yellow moving average and the white, and we're getting that very bad, very bad. Okay, so now this is probably where we need to hold the line. This 2000 area needs to really hold, and I would like to see a 2-week closure exactly where we're at right now, actually, and I'll explain why. So I put up this 2-week, the bi-weekly. You see where we're at, 2,255. I wrote in my notes to have a closure above 2,200, and the only reason why is because of the candle bodies that we see right here. If we got below the 2,100 level, that would have been a bearish engulfing candle. Now, let me just quickly break this down for anyone who's newer here. If you've heard me say bullish or bearish engulfing candle, essentially the body of the candle right now, it's above the previous candle. So we're all good, right? If we were slightly below it, a green candle to a red candle, if we're slightly below it on the red candle, this current week's price action, and we close tonight, we would have what's called a bearish engulfing candle, and that's a bad thing. That's typically indicative of a reversal. Now, what you're seeing right here, which is interesting, right here we have a bearish engulfing candle where we had the top, but then look at how big. This was a 47% correction. So it was dramatic, right? It was really dramatic. This pullback from top to bottom was 60%. So when it's already insanely bearish, there's no reason for it to just keep falling down just because it was a bearish engulfing candle. So bear with me, okay, guys? The point of what this analysis is it's just something to look at in the future so that if we do have a sideways consolidation, let's just say we get the bearish engulfing candle on like the daily, a shorter time frame, that could be sort of a leading indicator to get ready for a dump and you buy the dip. It's pretty basic. What we see right here is interesting. We see a bullish engulfing candle. So we see a flat top where we get multiple bi-weekly candles where we can't seem to break that 1,800 area. And then right here we have the bullish engulfing candle where the green candle body is above the red candle body. And that led us to an increase from the resistance all the way up to the blow off of 140%. So on the bullish side, it could be extremely good. And that would be something like, let's just say we hold this level as a resistance for all the way until August, right? Then we get our bi-weekly bullish engulfing. That would be a sign of let's continue to the upside. And that would fulfill all of my personal analysis. And seeing that sort of move up, 200% would be about what I would look to see before December for Ethereum. Because Ethereum's an altcoin, it's probably going to take advantage of the latter part of December into early January, and it'll have its blow off top around then. Bitcoin will probably be the first to correct. Let's move on to XRP. XRP looking extremely bearish, sadly. Okay, so the bi-weekly, not good, man. I would love for this to get bought up, but we're cutting it close. We have an hour. Oh, actually, it's possible. We have an hour. We're at 77 cents. We want to get to about 80 cents. I mean, this is really fucking bad. This chart is horrendous, and it's sad that this asset is going through this. It seems to not be able to catch a break. And again, it's probably such because retail is who's holding the bag on this. It's happening time and time again. Brad Garlic Sticks himself has came out and said that he basically sells his tokens all the time. I don't trust a project like that, and that's primarily why I use XRP as an indicator to be able to determine parts of the market that are a little bit harder to be able to determine using Ethereum and Bitcoin. So I feel like the way that I look at XRP is very different than the average person. Again, I have a lot of hate because of the things that I've said about XRP, but I'm just here to give people red pills. And I'm not going to go to my grave with my XRP bags saying that I was the Diamond Hands bull boy, because I really don't give a shit. I'm here to make money. I'm here to develop myself consciously as an investor, and I'm not choosing cults. So when I see this chart and I see this price action acting the way it is, and I tell people straight up how I feel, it's pretty sad actually how people get so offended, as if I'm making fun of their family. As if I'm talking shit about their dog, you know? That's not what this is. This is just somebody who's looking at charts, who knows what they're doing, and they're trying to help, actually. That's all I'm trying to do. Now, I have a very bullish price prediction moving into this time frame in mid-July, and I stand by that, even if we have really bad closures, because I do see a lot of the time where XRP gets oversold, it tends to exuberantly buy back much faster than you would imagine, and it's very elusive in that regard. We've seen it happen too many times. But this structure right here on the biweekly basically looks just like this structure here. And the only difference is this secondary candle after this candle was bullish and this one is bearish. So perhaps we might see something crazy like that in the first week of July. Who knows? That would be pretty massive though. I don't think we're going to pull off 70%. No way. I mean, yeah, that's about what actually, okay, sorry. Yeah, I mean, that would be about where I anticipate, where I put my prediction. So, fuck. Sure. I'm sticking to it, and it's only because of the Gematria, and it's only because of all the confluence with that particular new moon. But I still think it's probably just going to pull right back to like the $1 or less into that full moon. So it wasn't any long-term price prediction. It was just a short-term sort of having fun with the charts. So let's get back to this on the weekly. Let's pull up some moving averages. Okay, so we're still getting the downward slope on the 8. That's bad. The 34 seemed to get a good bounce today. That's great, but we did break below the 21. We're really far from the 21. That's almost impossible. The 13 and the 21 are pinching in on each other. That's bad. They're both downward sloping. The 34 seems to be our only hope at this time. So the 34 weekly, not good. And yeah, so closing at 80 cents today would be very ideal, but that would be a massive final minute move, considering that that closure happens in about 50 minutes. Until then, I sincerely believe that this structure that we're seeing right now is very similar to this time frame back here. Let me see. Right here. So this was the top area because of the Spark token fun, and this was the SEC dump, automatic rally, and then we had this move into this blow off. So basically I think it's a dump, this automatic reaction. It's not really the automatic rally, but bear with me. It's more about this structure right here, moving down into the supports and then catching that reversal whenever it happens. It's probably coming very soon, and then just melt to the upside. It's not going to have this, I don't think, unless some crazy weird moment happens where a ton of whales just start unloading longs and then closing, shorting with high leverage after that. I'm not looking for this, but I am looking up for a move very similar around this percentage. Something like that. Something like that, but at the higher prices. So I used fibs to be able to determine this, and this fib level would be as high as the 786, which you're seeing right here at the 167. I don't personally think it's going to get that high. I'm banking more for the 618. Again, we're in a very different time than we were back here. This was much more oversold because of that SEC news. We're at a much higher price right now. So, of course, I mean, seeing over 145 would surprise me, but it would fulfill a lot of things that I've been anticipating for a while now. I don't know how likely it is that we break towards these levels, but at least I'm considering a move up to the 140. That would be ideal. That would fulfill a lot of the numbers that I used for my decode and the prediction. So let's start moving into some of the things that I wanted to discuss. Oh, so one thing to talk about is the dollar. So a lot of people have been bringing up this idea about the dollar and how the dollar got a squeeze, and I'm like starting to hate this word. Like this, it's becoming a buzzword to me. To just have to have a move happen and then everyone just starts being a genius talking about, well, there was a short squeeze. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'm sorry, but you don't know what's going on here. Like, with this asset is so massive, and it's literally 100% fake. They walk over to a fucking computer, press a button, and a trillion of it just shows up. So I want to say that if you hear people running their mouth about this idea of short squeezes and the silver squeeze and the AMC squeeze, and it's like, guys, you've probably only been in this market for like a year, and you're a genius, right? Now you just know like everything because a Zero Hedge article told you so. I'm not talking to you guys, but I'm just talking about like the internet at large. The internet has been really, really insane lately, where they all need reasons for what's happening, but they have no ability to take all that time where they're studying theater and they can start studying and educating themselves, actually educating themselves to see what's going on. I think that would be a way better way to utilize your time. You're better off making yourself a homemade dinner than you are reading news articles. You're better off taking your dog for a walk. Like, if you're going to take time to really educate yourself on this market, don't do it with news. Don't do it with other people's opinions in regards to the digestion of like just overly weird economic. I don't even know how to really get into this right now because a lot of things are always backwards. You know, that's kind of where I could start with my idea of US dollar tether. And we'll get through that rant really quickly. Just basically, Tether is the same thing as the US dollar. It's just another financial instrument that has been created by the New World Order to manipulate this system. Now, what the problem here is, a lot of people are fearful of whether what they made. Well, I guess a lot of people don't even know that the New World Order made it, but I've been trying to tell everyone time and time again, whatever is operating this system, whatever it is a byproduct of the people who print money. Now, the people who print the money are the same people that designed the cryptos. The cryptos are just another financial instrument to move around money and a way to siphon wealth from retail, which are the masses, into the rich. Now, they don't force you to do anything. They don't force your hand over to your computer to like press the sell button, go sell it, you need to. No, they don't do that. What they do is just show you the fear. They get the prices down, they give you the news, they give you Elon Musk, they give you this, that, and that, and that, and you freak out. That's all they got to do. They don't need to even force you to transfer your wealth. They just scare you to do it. That's all. That's the secret sauce. I don't know why it takes people so much time to figure that out. One thing we could revisit was the 19th of May. Now, the 19th of May, we'll go to Tether dominance. I'm so happy I have that saved. Boom. So right around here was when the market corrected. Now, let's go to the 19th of May. It's this big, massive, massive green day. Let's measure this out, okay? And by the way, when we found out that Tether was running a fractional reserve, literally, Tether was proven to be running a fractional reserve where they just infinitely mint these coins, and they're like maybe 4% of these coins are backed by dollars. This we learned about before this day, before the 19th of May. Look at what Tether dominance did in this single day. It rallied 67%. 67%. So is this a, like, just wrap your head around. You don't need to know the news. You don't need to know anything about the SEC. You don't need to know shit. Just to look at this. Where did all this money that left the crypto market go? It essentially went into a couple of stable coins. Whether it's real or whether it's not real, whether it's backed or whether it's not backed, it's being used. So just focus on what's being used. That's it. We know that dollars are a scam, but we all collectively agree to use the scam. We all know that mortgages are a scam. We all know that voting is a scam. Why do we all want to play a part of a game? Like, why do we assume that they're not able to maintain the scam indefinitely? That's all the New World Order does. That's their best job. The thing that they're best at is maintaining a psyop, maintaining a hoax pretty much indefinitely. So is the question that they created something that can't be destroyed, or they made something that will never be destroyed because they made it and it benefits them more than it benefits you? Now, whenever I help people out with like remapping their investment thesis to get away from all the FUD, the number one thing I try to help people with is this basic concept of get on the right side of the manipulation. You learn how to do that, you'll be a very dominant player in this market. Who cares if it's real? Who cares if it could crater? None of that matters, because at the end of the day, you're gonna need to be able to do what you can with what you've done in this market, whether it goes against you or whether it goes for you. All they do right now is release news to get people to feel a certain way right now, to give this bearish price action a reason. That's why all this Tether FUD has come out. But ever since we've had this correction, Tether is now 4% of the market's dominance. That's insanity. That's double the amount of XRP dominance, okay? Pretty much double. So why is this, like, there's no metrics showing me that this thing is going to go away. There's just none. There's no metrics that are showing me otherwise. Until I see some metrics that are proving that this thing is not being controlled by the NWO, which I don't really think anyone could prove that because of the amount of money that's being moved around with Tether, the amount of money that's being printed in Tether, the fact that they could go and prove that they're not even a real backed by anything concept and they're able to maintain. This has been a while now, by the way, guys. This Tether conversation has been going on for quite a while, pretty much since its inception. It's been known to be a fractional reserve scam, and it's not going anywhere. In my opinion, I don't think it'll ever go anywhere. Or it'll just be replaced by something else that, just like the dollar will be replaced by something else. It'll be replaced by another version of the dollar, but it'll still maintain its structure, which is an artificial financial instrument that is controlled by the elites. Whether it's called Tether, whether it's called US dollar circle, whether it's called DAI stablecoin, whether it's whatever. It's all controlled and centralized. So let's move on to some of our altcoins really quickly. We have RSR. It's a little longer episode today, but hey, we're having fun. We got a new microphone. We're testing it. Oof. Okay, we got a little bit of a distributional top. That's good. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so just off the bat on candlesticks and the daily chart, I'm liking how this is back testing that previous area of resistance. You could see this was resistance right here, and then the breakout back testing resistance, and then it went to all-time highs at 12 cents. So this is quite a dramatic pullback. We're sitting at around 76% down. I believe that this is a more attractive coin because of the price. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about it, partnerships, etc., etc. I honestly think it's mostly people attracted to the fact that it's a penny. And when things are a penny or less, people feel like that's somehow a good idea. We're trading below the 236 on the fibs. That is very bad. And the fact that it continues to curl down into that level closer to the first big pullback, very bad. Below 50 on the RSI. MACD has crossed bullish, so that's good. Let's look at the higher time frames. So we got a really big MACD bearish cross on the weekly. It's heading south. I mean, it is holding support. This 3 cent level seems to be pretty nice. Let me pull fibs in reverse and stay on the weekly, and we'll give you guys some of the buying target potential. It's really what I want to focus on. Okay, so we're below the 618 and the 786. We're actually having a problem with the 786, and then the 888 is typically what I look for. So around 2 cents is like pretty average, and then anything below that, like you can really dump. So I would build positions as soon as now, really. Like as you could really just go ahead because it's 80% down. By the way, like talking about these altcoins, it's not really about my opinions. I'm going to try to be more technical from now on because I do feel like sometimes I'll answer, like, all these charts look like shit right now. So it's kind of past that. Talking about my feelings, it's more about like if you guys have studied this coin and you're really excited about it and you want to hear my buying targets and my potential upside targets, that's what I'll let you know. And if the chart looks really, really, really bad, of course, I'll let you know with my. I can't hold myself back sometimes. So, of course, 2 cents would be around where you want to go. And then for the upside, we'd be looking at something like, I mean, if it could break 4.5 cents, it could rally into an automatic reaction. And that automatic reaction, I would still anticipate being a bull trap. So this is probably going to be bearish for quite a while. Upside is 44 cents, though. And I would assume if this wanted to get extremely bullish, it could probably pull off $1, which would be like a 10x from the current top of the structure. Now, I mean, if I see this breaking below the structure, I might accumulate a little bit depending, but I'm going to hold off on accumulation right now until next month around the full moon because I want to stick to my investment thesis and all of my analysis that I've done. And I believe that this chart is kind of going to be similar to other charts, but I do like, if you look at the historical price action, how it's holding this level right here, which is the previous resistance. That's great. And I wouldn't even be surprised if into early July, we rally along with my overall thesis and everything else. And that rally would bring us into these technical targets somewhere below the golden pocket using Fibonacci. Okay, one, I have that on my chart actually because it's been a play that I've been looking into. Really not good looking chart. This kind of looks like when you're learning Wyckoff, you have your bowl shape breakout and then your distributional top. It looks like a big S. So yeah, I don't like this on a weekly. It's clearly a newer asset. So yeah, this is like a noticeable downtrending channel. So let's take a channel. Let's see if I can find that real quick. What's going on here? What the hell's going on? Parallel channel. Boom. Oh man, I wouldn't even know where to start. This looks pretty ugly. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the best we could do. Something like this. Yeah, I mean, we're fighting on that heart line pretty nicely. Yeah, I would probably leave this channel. I just saw this out of nowhere and it looked pretty good to me. So we have the double top area right here. That was the outlier, but that led to the big dump. And now we're just seeing it's on a steady downtrend. Let me pull some fibs from this breakout target and see where we're at. So I'm going to use that as the noticeable breakout target area. That would be the backup phase after SOS. Backup being after sign of strength. Okay, we're heading into that 786. Gorgeous. That's kind of the area that I look for. So the 6 cent region all the way down to 4 cent. And if it could keep holding this channel, it could literally just naturally trade into there. That would be very, very bearish, though. This coin had a hell of a run. Holy shit, 5,000%. Okay, yeah, I mean, this is kind of what you anticipate after a big, massive sell-off. So if we get back to that 786, we're looking at about 72% correction. Anything over 70% for me, I call a full retrace. 80% is maybe how deep it could really get, like with wicks. 80% from the blow off or from the current high, full retrace. That's typically where you want to start nibbling. But anything below the 786 or around the 786 fib, I would start adding into positions for sure. So let's assume that we get down to that area for fun. We'll pull from the high down to that around like 6 cents right here, and we're looking at somewhere around the dollar, about $1 also where you're looking for this. And that's great because we're sitting at 7 cents right now. So I mean, fuck, if you're able to get into this play at that 6 cent area and you're talking about $1, whew. I mean, that's a really, really beautiful play. Yeah, you would be looking at somewhere around 2,000%. I'm not saying I will do that, but that's in the cards for sure. That's potential. I am actually interested in this project. There's someone that I trust that I chat with about some research and development things, and they've been pretty bullish on Harmony One. And some people I just trust, where I kind of, they have a lot to say about something, and it kind of does the hard work for me. I look at a chart, I look where it's undervalued, and that's where I start nibbling in. I have no emotional connection to it. Just some pats on the back from someone I trust who's a little bit more of a nerd than I am. We all need one of those in our life, right? I always tell people I'm one of those people that like I could play the guitar, but if it's time to string the guitar because it's rusty, I'll literally go to someone to do that for me. I have no interest in building a computer, but I would definitely pay somebody to build a computer for me if I can fulfill that concept in my head as being a smart investment. So it's kind of the type of mindset I have. I'm an artist. I'm a creative. I'm somebody who likes to do things, but fixing things and doing troubleshooting and all that, it's not really my focus. It's not really what I like. Let's move on to AMP. This one, I believe, had a very good week, and now everyone wants to talk about it, of course, because whenever something does good, that's when everyone pays attention. Yeah, it's a hell of a... Okay, so it's one of the few coins that's actually made some newer highs. This chart is ridiculous looking. Okay. Wow. Well, that's a crazy run. Yeah, we're looking at 3,000%. Sorry for touching the mic. So yeah, we did about 3,000% off of that bottom. This just looks crazy though. Like it's very... Okay, well, I guess Wyckoff analysis could be good for this one. So we have the buying climax, selling... No, I mean, you can't even do that. This looks ridiculous. I would say that this is sort of a really weird chart where you're about to enter distribution. So you have this would be your buying climax right here. And then you have this like cup and handle formation with a UTAD up thrust after... Sorry, I'm forgetting the terminology. Basically, it's just this up thrust in the middle of the trading range. And if you see right here, I could draw a line. Let me do a horizontal ray. I'm going to do it right here off this top. So basically, that's your sideways trading range. Let me change the solid line. And after you break through it, you want to be able to have it hold, but it doesn't, and then it enters a backup phase. So I guess you could call this like an SOS backup and then another SOS, and then we'll have LPSs, etc. on the way. But it looks a little bit gassed out. You understand? Like it, and there is some bearish divergence on the RSI. So yeah, I mean, this is a really weird chart. I haven't seen anything like this in a while. This is like what things used to look like 3 or 4 months ago, But now everything's been sort of following suit, and it looks like this one in particular is an outlier for whatever reason. I don't know much about this project. I don't know much about the technology, but I have been hearing it be kind of buzzy lately, and that's mostly because the whole market has been performing like shit. And of course, when there's a couple coins that are doing really well, that's where all eyes start to focus. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to determine right now. I would not buy into this, period. With all this undervalued stuff in the market, I wouldn't look to the most overvalued one. That's for sure. I mean, yeah, a retest back of this area at the 5 cent. That'd be cool. I can't have any interest in this right now. So, my personal thoughts are it's overvalued, extremely. And it's overvalued in a very choppy market. So the gains can be returned very quickly if there's a significant retrace in the market as a whole. Not saying that will happen, but that's probably where we're headed. So let's just see why these targets are happening. I'm going to pull from this extreme sort of... Okay, so we've got rejected off the 2618 pretty perfectly. And we back tested the 1618 and had a perfect bounce. So honestly, guys, if I had to tell you on all of my analysis, I think this is going to go straight to 18 cents at the 4236, then probably get rejected and come back down as low as 5 cents again. Now, I said it could come back down as low as 5 cents again, I didn't say it will, but that's typically the play that would happen. So something like this, just basically go to the 4236, come back, fail holding the 618, and then start trading back in this golden pocket area. And this would be your buying time. But right now you're basically buying into a pump. It's kind of stupid. And if you missed out, be okay with that. I'm okay with that because there's plenty of opportunity in this market right now. And I'm kind of indecisive about diversification because I personally hold like 15 different coins, and I'm trying to actually get that down to about 12. I'm like becoming a little more old school in this market because I feel like that works. I'm cool with having what's called a venture capital bag, which won't be included in this conversation of the 12 coins that I'm planning on holding. But that venture capital bag could be something like a bunch of 2% positions that are very small, kind of just gambling money. Like if I run into $400 or $300 here and there from doing my business, I will allocate that money accordingly. And this might be one of the plays I buy if I see it return back to these levels, but I'm not particularly... I'd rather get Matic or Binance Token or something else. I'm not too excited about this. But like I said, I do think it'll go straight to the 4236 very soon, probably into the beginning of July, and then we're going to see how it reacts to that. It could peel back down. If it doesn't hold the 1618, which is the golden ratio, expect the 786, which is sitting around 5 cents. So for those of you that need this analysis like slowed down because that was too much, you could just kind of repeat this part of the video if you're interested in this coin in particular. Let's move to Icon. I'm going to delete this because I have too much stuff on my chart. I have a lot of things on my chart. I have to clean this up. Okay, Icon. So for this one, I'm just going to talk about buying targets because it looks like everything else. It kind of looks like the Bitcoin chart, actually. Yep, distributional top, probably a reaccumulation after decline. We're entering what would be called the automatic rally. So I'm going to pull the fib from about this top right here down to that low. After reclaiming the 236, I assume it's going to move straight to around $2.20, probably get rejected for a bull trap and then come back down. And where it comes back down, I would anticipate being between late July and late September. And then it would fulfill its trading range then. We'll see new highs after that. So this probably... Whoa! What the hell? So this didn't even get its all-time high back? Wow, that's really rare. Okay, I might be interested in this coin. Yeah, okay. I might buy this. Because... Oh, wow. $13? Holy shit. So that's like... Okay. I'm not normally excited about stuff like this, but... Yeah. Easy. This is like an easy investment idea right here. You know, like you haven't gotten even back to the all-time high. So I'll show you guys a little trick real quick. Thanks for whoever brought this up. I think it was Betty. So thank you, Betty. You've been an asset to the community for sure. Thank you for bringing this up. Mamma mia, this thing could go to $50. Holy shit. Now, you know me, I'm honest, man. I don't normally react like this to charts. Yeah, I mean, $33 maybe. Shit, I have to do some Gematria on this. This is interesting. I rarely see coins that haven't even made the bowl formation. Like, this thing hasn't even finished the bowl for the cup and handle. So, wow. I mean, if it could bump up to that 4236 around the $11, that would actually only be the golden pocket of the previous fractal. And then once you're around there, you'd pop around and then you start entering price discovery. And then I would look for the price discovery of this fib, the $50. Holy shit. My God. Okay, I'm not saying any of this will happen, but this is just how it works. Like typically, wow, 5,000%. Late in the bull market too. Like having numbers of price history and not just like making random number calls. Yeah, this could go to 30 to 40 to $50. So, okay. Yeah, I'm going to put a marker on this and I'm going to start looking into this project more. Ooh, I got a little pink color. Shit. They added colors to Pro Trading View. Look at that. I'm so fancy. Okay, so yeah, icon, cool. I'm putting that on my list. Let me find my buying targets first, though. So we always take from the breakout, right? And we pull fibs in reverse to the all-time high, or the current high in the structure. We could be conservative, and we're holding that 786 pretty nicely. I mean, I might start nibbling into this now, but I would prefer waiting to that 62 cent juicy 62 cent level. Woo! Okay, I don't know if that's gonna happen. I might. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting excited. Isn't that weird that right after I talk about how I don't want to invest in any more coins, this shit happens? Damn you, Betty. I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm bullish. I don't really care about anything else. This chart's like just fantastic. Um, and also it seems to be following Bitcoin's moves very similarly. So that means that because I'm heavily aware of like Bitcoin's manipulation and price movement, that this definitely excites me. Icon, cool. I also like the logo. It looks kind of like a Saturn ish. It's hard to tell at this small. Okay, I don't want to spend my whole. I have to wrap this up. Monero. I think I talked about Monero already, so yeah. Wow, this is going to be a very long episode, guys. An hour and a half. This is the longest one. I have to start making these a little shorter, but I've been talking to you guys a lot about, mindset. I've been really wanting to talk about mindset, something I can't offer easily in the YouTube videos, and I really want to provide that for you guys because you deserve all of those nuggets of information. So Monero actually kind of has a really good looking chart. It hasn't ever really wanted to break structure. So that's what I like. It's like continually higher lows. That's really nice. And Monero is also another one of those that I remember not being able to take out its... Oh, did it? Barely. It pulled a Zilliqa. So Zilliqa did this shit where it has basically entered the handle of the cup and handle. So you have your big cup. Your bowl has been completed by a double top of the... Well, actually an official all-time high. So that's perfect. Textbook. Peel back, and now we're in the handle. And a lot of people have been freaking out about Zilliqa and all this shit. It's just because Atomic Wallet's staking is really weird, which has very little to do with Atomic Wallet and more to do with just blockchain updates as a whole on the ZIL blockchain. Just relax. Like, I mean, if you can't earn staking in it, that doesn't mean it's a bad token. It's severely undervalued for what it's capable of doing. And when ZIL wants to rip, it will rip. Okay, it will melt faces. So anyone who's into Monero, I believe that Monero and ZIL are in very similar situations where you had your chances to accumulate. Now we're just in that weird moment of the market as a whole has been a little bit shaky and we want recovery. But this is a technical pattern that's really nice to see. So anyways, it's basically what's going on here. I believe that if you're looking at anything like an Ethereum chart or perhaps even like that last chart that we were looking at, Icon, it's all going to do very similar price action. So just look out for that. Okay. Now I'm going to wrap this up here. I will talk about Theta maybe later in the week in a separate video because there's a lot to say about Theta in general. So sorry I couldn't get the recap of that in, but it was pretty much general. I do see upside moving into the first week of the month of July overall. And this is about 1.5 hours, so I do want to wrap it up. I hope everyone is having an amazing day. I hope that you all get to watch this from start to finish, and it was valuable. Lots of information in this one. Try to pack these with as much info as possible for the Patreon supporters. I really love all of you guys. I appreciate you all, and I hope that all of this information has been valuable for you. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend in the Matrix, and I'll be catching you guys very soon. Much love.